Good day everyone, I am Gonson Divine Jade and I am the first reporter. Our topic is all about other teaching strategies and supplementary methods. So I will discuss two of the teaching strategies, research-based strategy and interactive direct instruction. So first is research-based strategy. Research-based strategies are methods implemented during instruction or the way material is delivered to the students. A research-based instructional strategy is any teaching approach supported by a statistical analysis of data from the learning environment. The use of research-based high-impact teaching innovations increases the probability of strong students' outcomes. It means that students carry out the research in their courses independently and with an open outcome. This helps to internalize and practice research conducts and methods. Skills such as formulating a precise question and processing and monitoring a research practice. Students attain abilities in dealing with uncertainty, independence, teamwork, and organizational skills. Research-based teaching strategies examples according to Robert Marzano in the year 2017. So first is setting objectives and providing feedback. So this focusing on the achievement of shared instructional goals and measurable outcomes. So this provides direction for learning, acknowledges students' interest and investment, and encourages students to complete assignments. Second is reinforcing effort and providing recognition. Providing rubrics and instructional guidance to ensure appropriate recognition of student effort. So, it demonstrates to students that effort, even without accomplishment, is worthy of recognition. So, third is cooperative learning. Group and team-based learning to enhance student interpersonal skills within a group environment. So it could result in a positive effects on learning. So fourth is cues, questions, and advanced organizers. So examples are pre-work, project templates, and organizers to guide student work, connecting prior and new knowledge. So this will help students to focus on what is important and prepare for learning. So fifth is non-linguistic representations. Reinforcement of verbal concepts and terminology through graphs, models, frameworks, videos, and visuals. So this may include models, symbols, and physical movement may be used to represent information in ways that increase brain activity. Next is summarizing and note-taking. Includes paraphrasing, organizing, analyzing, and extracting essential information to increase comprehension. So it requires that students identify what is essential, recognize the structure in which information is presented, and learn to paraphrase. 7 is assigning homework and providing practice. Practice for inside and outside the classroom, homework policies with the goal of enhanced learning. So it provides students with the opportunity to extend learning and become more independent. Number 8, identifying similarities and differences. So analyzing, comparing, categorizing, and creating parallels to break down complex concepts. So it is accomplished with Venn diagrams and charts. 9 is generating and testing hypotheses. Inquiry-based learning through decision-making processes such as data analysis, tools, and case studies. So it reduces students' dependence on teachers. So let's proceed to the benefits of applying research-based strategy. Creates the environment for learning, helps students develop understanding, and it helps students to extend and apply their new knowledge. Research-based instructional strategies are strategies that have been identified by independent research to be most effective at influencing student learning outcomes and student achievement. Research-based instructional strategies provides educators with learning-centered educational approaches and demonstrated student learning efficacy through evidence-based conclusions. So the second strategy is interactive direct instruction. So what is direct instruction? Direct instruction generally refers to the delivery of lectures to students or the development and implementation of instructional methods by teachers. To put it in another way, the instructor instructs the students. So, interactive instruction is when students learn through social interaction. Examples of interactive instruction include group discussion, question and answer sessions, debates, and tutoring. So, designing and providing meaningful and successful learning experiences are the foundations of good instruction. Teacher clarity begins with setting explicit learning aims for a lesson. Direct instruction follows with engages students, encourages them to ask questions, and use multiple written, graphic, and interactive resources. Although a class lecture is commonly associated with direct instruction, it can be used in a variety of teaching situations. Direct instruction, for example, is when a teacher shows a film to students to impart knowledge. The instructor in this case is not actively giving any instruction. However, by focusing their students' attention on a specific topic, they are still providing direct instruction. So the next is the 6 functions or steps of direct instruction. So first step, introduction or review. So first, you set the stage for learning. This is the opening of the lesson and it's intended to engage students, get their attention, and activate their prior knowledge. So build upon a previous lesson or to get an understanding of their background knowledges of the subject you are about to teach them. To show your students what exactly they have to learn and what is expected from them, or you can give them lesson objectives. Second step is presenting new material. Use clear and guided instructions so students can begin absorbing the new material. The lesson content should be carefully organized step by step, with the steps building on each other. In the direct instruction method, you can present new material through a lecture or through a demonstration. The third step, guided practice. So here, the teacher and students practice the concept together. The student attempts the skills with the assistance of the teacher and other students. The guided practice is conducted by the teacher. The purpose of this step is to guide initial practice, correct mistakes, reteach if necessary, and provide sufficient practice so that students can work independently. So next is feedback and correctiveness. If students don't understand the lesson material, the teacher has to correct them and give feedback. This is so very important in the guided practice as students have to understand everything in that phase. So there are 4 types of student responses to questions and actions a teacher should take depending on the answer. So the student answer is correct, quick, and firm. So the teacher action is ask a new question to keep up the pace of the lesson. So student answer, correct but hesitant. So the teacher action is to provide encouragement. So if the student answer is incorrect but careless, the teacher action is simply correct and move on. So if the student answer is incorrect and lacking knowledge, so the teacher action is to provide hints, ask a simpler question, and reteach. So the next step is independent practice. So after guided practice and receiving the right feedback, students are ready to apply new learning material on their own. Independent practice gives the students the repetitions they need to integrate the new information or skills with previous knowledge or skills. Independent practice also helps students to become automatic in their use of the skills. So during this phase, students usually go through two stages. The first is unitization and automaticity. So during unitization, the students are putting the skills they've learned together and use them in new situations. So the last step is evaluation or review. So check whether your students know everything before moving on to a new concept that builds upon what they've just learned. So collect students' data you can review and decide whether or not the lesson needs to be retaught. So the use of interactive direct instruction allows for more interaction. It is the cornerstone of effective instruction. It facilitates the process of learning. Teachers can plan projects, tasks, and classes so that students can work together to achieve a common goal. It also enables teachers to give clear directions, illustrations, explanations, and descriptions as needed. So the next is supplementary methods to be reported by the next reporter.
So now, please proceed to the next topic, which is teaching aids. So, are you familiar with the word teaching aids? Yes, I know that almost of us familiar of this word because we know that most of the teacher uses this one in their teaching. So now let's talk about or let's tackle more about this one. So what is teaching aids? So teaching aids refers to supplementary materials used by teachers for teaching in a more effective and efficient manner. So, in addition to helping the teachers to carry out interesting sessions for the students, it also makes sure that the classes are handled in a way that students can retain a maximum of their learning. So, usually the aids come in different forms. Some of the vital and common ones include videos, pictures, objects, and flashcards. Teaching aids for math are usually 3D models, math puzzles, charts, tables, videos, and likewise. Mathematics is generally considered a difficult subject, and it is important to incorporate various teaching strategies and methods in a classroom to ensure that students understand the concept in the best way possible. As we all know, the best way for kids to learn a subject such as mathematics is to make it as tangible as possible. So there are 10 most popular math teaching aids. The first one is MOB. Examples of this are place value cards, physical items such as matchsticks, buttons, ping pong balls, and corks. The second is online and worksheet resources for primary age students. The third is food such as pizza, cake, pie, etc. The fourth is clock dials, stopwatches, and sun timers. Fifth, protractor, set squares, and compasses. Six, 2D and 3D shapes, tangrams, patterns, blocks, and attribute blocks. 7 is pretend money or notes and coins. 8 is dice, cards, and counters and spinners. 9 is trundle well and meter ruler. 10 is bakers, funnels, cylinders, scales, and weights. What is the significance of teaching aids in mathematics? When teaching aids are used, teachers not only define everything orally, but they use practical methods to make students understand better, such as model, graphs, and etc. So when we teach with teaching aids, we teachers not only define everything in verbally or orally, but we use practical methods to make students understand better about the lesson or the topic that we discuss. So, teaching aids also make learning more interesting, and students tend to remember the concept longer if they learn them interest. So Aside from making the students understand much better about your lesson or the topic that you've discussed, teaching aids also helps prevent a boring class. Why? Because it is when you incorporate teaching different teaching aids, students will be more likely to listen because they are entertained by those aids that you show them, and then by that they will be interested um, to listen and participate in your class discussion. So now, let's proceed to the next topic, which is module. I know that most of us are know about this one or have a knowledge about this one. So it is a teaching material that teachers can develop themselves. So Mojo is a printed teaching material that is designed to be studied independently by students because it is equipped with various instructions in studying a material. Modules enables the learner to have a control over his learning and accept greater responsibility for learning. So it enables the learner to have a better control over his learning because when you give a module to your students, you let them do things on their own. And modules allow teachers also to provide not just a way for students to easily see what they need to do, but they also include a guide for how they move through a week or unit content and activities. According to Nasosyon, the advantages of using teacher-made or teaching materials include making it easier for students to learn. There is a lot of immediate feedback, more complete mastery of the material, and students are more motivated to complete their own modules according to their abilities. Students more independent, and there is cooperation between teacher and the student. There are also advantages of using modules for teachers because teacher can approach students individually without disturbing the environment around student because ang module is ihatag naman sa students, and then they will do or answer it at home or finish it at home. And it also increases teachers' professionalism because teaching modules raise questions and encourage teachers to think and be more scientific about their professions. So, learning with module consists of three important components, namely external conditions, which is the stimuli from the learning environment. The second is internal conditions, which describe the internal state and cognitive processes of the student in the form of understanding that students have. And learning outcomes are verbal information, intellectual skills, motor skills, attitudes, and cognitive tactics as learning outcomes using modules. So when you give your students module to be answered or to be finished at home, you teach your students how to use their own knowledge or critical thinking skills in doing that or in answering that module. Basically, you help them to be not dependent, or you teach them not to be dependent on others but to be dependent on their self.